welcome to the new tutorial where we would be learning about if and else. What is if and what is else? These are the conditional statements. But first, let's talk about the real life statements. Now, let's say if I'm hungry, I'll eat pizza. Otherwise, I'll do Python coding. So, what happens here? That if you're hungry, you have an option to eat. And if you're not hungry, what you can do? You can code, or you can practice anything, or you can play anything, right? So this was the real life example, real world example. But now if I talk about exactly writing down the statements, so okay, I have the file already open over here. Let me just rename it first to if else. Cool. Now, what do we need to do? We need to write down the if statement. But before that, let's do something. Let's take a value. You remember variable? I'm taking a variable A. All right. I'm sure you would be, when you would be working with this, you would be having this issue, that is configure Python interpreter. So just click on it and interpreter settings. You basically need to select the interpreter. All right. So you don't show me over here. Yes, here it is. And I'll apply and okay. So now there are no more errors. This PyCharm needs a base to run the program, which is basically what that interpreter would help to get. That is the reason you see this. Now, let's say A equals to 5. If A is greater than 4, what to do? Let's print A is greater than 4. All right. So what do you understand by this? If the value of A, which we have put in over here, is greater than 4, then this will print this line. Now, what is this extra gap over here? This gap is basically known as indentation. And this basically lets you know that whatever is present inside this is basically a if statement. So now first let me execute this and show it to you. I'll run this. See, A is equal to 5. Definitely 5 is greater than 4. So A is greater than 4. But let's say if I had written 3 over here and I ran this again, see, nothing is here. Nothing is showing up over here. So what do you understand by this? That is that only the code which is written inside this will get executed if the value, if this thing is true. Right now, A is not greater than 4. That is the reason it is not printing over here. Now, the thing which I was telling you was about the indentation, right? So let's say I'll write one statement over here. Print outside if statement. Okay. All right. So if I write outside if statement and then I again run this, have a look. It says outside if statement. That means that this code is not getting inside the if statement right now because A is greater than 4, but it will be printing all the things which is outside. So basically this is known as a block of code which is present inside if. Okay, so whatever you print, all right, let me just put a tab over here and let me now run this whole thing again. Have a look. nothing gets executed. But executed means when you run the code, you get the answer from the Python. Let's say Python is a person over here, your friend, you're asking him something, it's replying it to you. Exactly, if you execute, that means request for an answer or instruct for an answer, you get another answer. Whatever the answer is required. Now, let's change the value to 6. Now the condition is true, right? So now what I'll do, I'll just run this. See, both the lines are working. But any idea what would happen if I remove the indentation now? The indentation is mostly either 1 tab or 4 spaces. Okay. Now tell me, you can comment down below that what can happen if you are doing something like this. I guess it would be much more meaningful if I write this also. That is print inside the if statement. All right. So now, if I write something like this, give it a pause, think about it. All right. So let's run the code and let's see what happens. Everything is getting printed. So basically, these are inside block, and let me change it again for your reference. And if I run this, nothing inside will get executed. Only the outside will be executed. All right. I hope if is clear right now. And again, I'm repeating one more thing, that is an indentation is basically equivalent to either 4 spaces, either 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces, or it is equivalent to 1 tab. Okay, cool. All right. So now let's talk about the next thing which I have written over here, that is else. All right. Now, when we started, I gave you an example. What was that example? That example was basically that if you are hungry, then you would be eating a pizza, or you would be eating anything you love to. And that doesn't mean that I am supporting junk food. You should eat healthy too. But yes, over here, I meant that if you're hungry, you eat pizza. Otherwise, if you're not hungry, there is also something that you can do. That is either study or play anything, right? So there is something which is known as else over here. This is another keyword which helps you to work with it. Now, instead of this, we would be working with else statements now, else conditions. So let's say I write down over here else. This is again another block. I'll give a colon over here. And now I can write down A is less than. I can print directly, that would be better. A is less than 4. All right. And we can also mention one more thing, that is print inside else block. All right. Now, what do you think will this statement do? Let's run. So A is lesser than 4. Because this is false, this condition is false. So it is not going inside if, it is just going inside else. And after that, it's also printing this statement, because ultimately this is not under any indentation or any block of code. So this 2 lines comes in the block of else, and these two lines come in the block of if, this and this line. Okay, so now this was about if and else, the basics of if and else. There are many more things that we can do. So let's try out few cases which may be completely difficult, or maybe let's say it might be false. Let's try out few. Let me create just a Python file of practice if else. So I have this practice if else file in front of me now. So let's take something which is different. So let's write down if else, and we will be changing the conditions every time. And all right, so let's take a fruit. Let's take a fruit. So fruit is equal to mango. Oops. If fruit is equal to orange, print fruit is orange. And let me just take this once again. Do you see there is a issue over here? Can you tell me what is the thing that is missing over here? Exactly, the colons. You need to give the colons to make it understand that now I'm writing the next part of the code. Let's write down one more over here. Instead of orange, let's mention banana. So the fruit is banana, right? All right. And at the end, let's also mention one more thing, that is else. And you know, else will never have any condition. It is only if there is no if, whatever the condition that is not satisfied inside the if, it will directly come in else. So else never contains any condition written over there, but it's just the opposite of if. Okay, so let's say it's not banana. Even even if it is not banana, then only one thing that left over here, which we wrote in the beginning, was print I guess it is mango. So let me run this. See, not banana, I guess it is mango. And let me just do something. Let me just remove the orange block of code where we have mentioned about orange. And let's run it again. See, nothing really happened, right? No changes. But if we do something like this, let's because there is one if, two if, let's add one more else. Let's try and see what happens. Else print, what should we print? Not orange. All right, it's already telling you that this is something, there is something fishy over here. So still let's try to run it. See, first of all, it's telling that there is some syntax issue. This is an error, right? Invalid syntax. You cannot write like this. There can't be if else like this present. Only one pair of if else can be written together. Okay, so this is not the correct way to write. Even two if will not make a proper pair. So if you need to write something like this is the proper pair. So if you run this, you'll see not banana, I guess it's mango. Now over here, let's change this to input. That means now the person can take in, I can write down whatever I want to write. So now over here, let's write down, but there was no question. So still let's write down. I'm writing down my name. Not banana, I guess it's mango, but this is not exactly that, right? So two things we need to do over here. One is that enter the fruit name. Because I entered my name, I did not know what to enter, so I just entered my name. So enter the fruit name. Now, if fruit is equal to banana, definitely I gave Simran, or anyone can give any other fruit name. So instead of just writing mango, you can just put in anything else. I guess it is a good fruit. So let's try it out. So enter the fruit name. Now it's asking for it. So I'll write down its mango. So not banana. I guess it's a good fruit. And now let me just try writing banana once and show you as well. If you need to give a space over here, you can do it in this way. So now you'll get a space, proper space to write. Works fine? Great. All right. So let's meet in the next tutorial where we would be discussing about several different examples, what is required for you to understand this logic of if and else. Thank you.